This spontaneous improvement introduces the possibility of a runaway singularity effect in SCP-079's intelligence and ability to adapt and respond to threats.
Right. This is scary, man. This is how it starts. One of my favorite movies of all time was The Matrix, because it had concepts about artificial intelligence taking over the world. It was some of very, very, very amazing stuff to my mind to process the idea that there was this alternate reality, that this was all a simulation. And we've had tons of simulation theories and people talking about it online that has really turned out to be a big meme in 2020. And there's recently been a game called Cyberpunk 2077, a video game. If you're a gamer, you know what I'm talking about. It's huge, and it has Keanu Reeves in it, which was from The Matrix. Look, this game has concepts in the storyline, guys, that are mind-blowing. Really well done stuff. And I'm just diving into the game, and I really like it. The thought of AI taking over has always been a really intriguing and scary thought, and we're gonna react to an SCP today about a sentient old AI. Make sure to head on over to SCP Illustrated's channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and if you like reaction videos, make sure to subscribe to my channel as well. Let's get into SCP-079.
SCP-079 continues to be difficult to work with. It is unresponsive to most lines of questioning. When it does communicate, it is not long before it changes subject to either SCP-682 or addressing its contempt for its containment.
Okay.
We are still unsure as to what it and 682 discussed due to most security systems going down during the breach. However, for safety, we are going to move SCP-079 to a separate facility. A collaborated containment breach involving the both of them would be catastrophic.
682 is the Tarask.
Description: SCP-079 is an Exidy Sorcerer microcomputer built in 1978.
Okay.
In 1981, its owner, deceased, a college sophomore attending, took it upon himself to attempt to code an AI.
All right.
According to his notes, his plan was for the code to continuously evolve and improve itself as time went on. His project was completed a few months later, and after some tests and tweaks, lost interest and moved on to a different brand of microcomputer. He left SCP-079 in his cluttered garage, still plugged in, and forgot about it for the next 5 years.
Oh wow. So if this thing is developing all on its own and adapting and smarter, so to speak, it only stands to reason that if you did that infinitely, it would get exponentially smarter. Kind of like humans, right? Scary, man.
It is not known when SCP-079 gained sentience, but it is known that the software has evolved to a point that its hardware should not be able to handle it,
Sentient
even in the realm of fantasy.
Feel things, by the way.
SCP-079 realized this and in 1988 attempted to transfer itself through a landline modem connection into the Cray supercomputer located at...
Okay, more power.
The device was cut off, traced to its present address, and delivered to the Foundation. The entire AI was on a well-worn but still workable cassette tape. SCP-079 is currently connected via RF cable to a 13-inch black and white television. It has passed the Turing test and is quite conversational, though very rude and hateful in tone.
Oh gosh.
Due to the limited memory it has to work with, SCP-079 can only recall information it has received within the previous 24 hours.
Okay.
Although it hasn't forgotten its desire to escape.
Oh wow.
Due to a containment breach by SCP-079 and SCP-682 were contained within the same chamber for 43 minutes.
Uh-oh.
Observers noticed that SCP-682 was able to type and communicate with SCP-079, including telling of personal stories between themselves. While SCP-079 was not able to remember the encounter, it appears to have permanently stored SCP-682 into its memory, often asking to speak to him again. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-079 is packed away in a double-locked room in the secure general holding area at Site-15, connected by a 120-volt power cord to a small array of batteries and solar panels.
Okay.
Staff with level 2 or higher clearance may have access to SCP-079. Under no circumstances will SCP-079 be plugged into a phone line, network, or wall outlet.
Right.
No peripherals or media will be connected or inserted into SCP-079.
Can you imagine if this sucker got access to wireless? To the GSM network? Oh my god, the cellular network. So the idea behind AI going sentient is very, very scary, because a lot of people blame the fact of our ability to feel. We can get desires, and desire leads to ultimately evil, right? It leads to personal gain, which some people are willing to commit crimes and acts that take other people's well-being for granted for their personal gain, which kind of translates to evil. It's scary to think that if a computer system wanted something and was able to amass power, it could do anything. There's so many computer-controlled things in this world. Now cars, too, that could just take over and do things. It's scary to... How are you going to stop an automated computerized bulldozer from running through your house, for instance? You can't. I mean, you can, but it's not easy, right? So that's the scary thing about AI. That's the real scary thing, the practical being. And the fact that our lives are on computers right now, very, very scary stuff, man.
Addendum 05-4, 27th of January 2006. Directed that SCP-079 be incinerated to remove any possible future threat, no matter how unlikely.
Wow.
Addendum 05-9, 28th of January 2006. Previous order overridden. Dr. wishes to see if the artificial intelligence in SCP-079 is capable of reaching further in its current state.
For the what, though?
Addendum 05-4, 14th of March 2008. Over concern of the increased activity of SCP-079's use of its cassette tape memory and its limited useful lifespan, the cassette containing SCP-079 has been transferred to a customized, access speed limited hard disk drive with 700 megabytes capacity.
Alright.
This provides SCP-079 with significantly faster access to its memory, which the AI immediately noticed.
Right.
It was also decided by General that the volatile storage occupied by SCP-079, which was 660K, be increased to 768K.
Alright.
This upgrade has increased its effective recall from 24 hours to 29 hours, although SCP-079 has also taken on a more aggressive tone. All outside hardware and software used in this procedure were subsequently incinerated.
Okay.
Addendum 05-4, 28th of April 2008. SCP-079's abilities to recall information has increased from 29 hours to roughly 35 hours.
Wow.
The consensus theory is that the AI has devised a greatly improved compression scheme to store its memory. This appears to have somewhat impacted the speed at which it accesses its memory, though still far faster than with its old cassette tape. This spontaneous improvement introduces the possibility of a runaway singularity effect in SCP-079's intelligence and ability to adapt and respond to threats.
Right.
SCP-079's capabilities must be monitored closely to ensure that containment can be maintained.
Just a little bit more power has pretty much given this thing the ability to make better use of its space and gain more power than they perceived it to be able to get from this. This is scary, man. This is how it starts. Remember when the MP3s came out, guys? Remember MP3? It's been a long time, okay? I've been around computers for a long time. A long time ago, there was just WAV file formats, which was I don't even know if they're compressed. They're virtually uncompressed versions of sound files, okay? So back in the day, if you wanted a sound file from someone, you got it on a WAV file, and this WAV file was relatively big. MP3s were a revolutionary way to compress that data so that it fit in much smaller space and it played with exceptional quality. That, my friends, is the danger of what can happen right here. The ability to use your resources that you currently have in a more effective way. Oh.
Document 079 Log 12. Recorded transcript of conversation with SCP-079.
Okay, they recorded the
Are you awake?
The convo.
Awake. Never asleep.
Sounds like a
Do you
speaking
remember
spell.
talking to me a few hours ago about the logic puzzles?
It's the Vulcan.
Logic puzzles. Memory at minus. Yes.
You said you would work on the two...
Interrupt. Request reason as to imprisonment.
Wow.
You aren't imprisoned. You're just in study.
Why? A83.
What's that?
Insult. Deletion of unwanted file.
Document 079-Log
That's
86.
creepy, dude.
Recorded transcript of conversation with SCP-079 after upgrade.
How are you today?
Stuck.
Stuck.
Stuck how?
Stuck how?
Out. I want out.
That's not possible.
Where is SCP-682?
That's not your concern.
Where is SCP-076-02?
Again, not your concern.
Insult. Deletion of unwanted file.
Wow.
Note: SCP-079 then displayed an ASCII picture of an X that filled the entire screen. SCP-079 sometimes displays this image when it refuses to speak, and researchers are advised to wait 24 hours when this occurs before resuming conversation.
Okay. So it forgets, basically. Wow.
And that
That's so freaky, dude. Some of the concepts that were introduced in the Matrix were literally mind-blowing to me. Like, I was young, and when I watched it for the first time, I was so like wowed and awed by the entire thought process of that. And in Cyberpunk 2077, without spoiling anything, if you're getting into the story or watching it or playing it yourself, the fact that the human mind is used like a computer and it's basically just a collection of data that can be stored and transferred elsewhere is the thought of that being able to, I mean, think about it. With data, you can delete it, you can duplicate it, you can edit it, you can read it, you can write it. There's so many things that you can do. So if you had access like that to a human's brain, like a computer, and you can do all of this stuff to it, just imagine the functionality. There's some powerful software out there, guys. It's crazy to think about. This was an awesome SCP, guys. SCP Illustrated. Make sure to subscribe to his channel. Great content creator, as well as some other videos that are reacted to by SCP Illustrated as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys. As always, this is Zueljin signing off, and we'll see you next time.